Hello and welcome to this Link Insights video. My name's Neil and today we're doing an overview of the insights that Link provides you after you have captured your sketch. Let's kick off. Link's insights are open from the Insight panel on the right hand side of the application. We have a total of 6 insights for you to use to gain knowledge about the sketch. So let's take a look at each one individually. The sketch summary is the first insight and it provides you an overview of everything you've captured in your sketch, such as the total cost and time of achieving the business outcomes that you've modelled, the number of unique people and unique systems that are being captured in the model, insight into the value of the work that's going on in different areas of the organisation, and a breakdown of cost by area. So here we are in the sketch summary. You can see all of these overview figures. So I can very quickly see I've modelled 10 business outcomes. It costs nearly $7 million and nearly 95,000 hours of time, and we have no automation. This is really an exec level overview of what I've captured in the sketch. There are 5 cards in this insight. They include helping you understand how many information inputs are needed to kick the processes off, how many information outputs are created as a result of the work. We can see cost versus value of different areas of work inside the organisation. And this bubble chart allows us to very quickly get to particular points in the sketch that we're interested in. And we can also change the input to this graph, so we can look at information outputs and actions that we've captured in the sketch against their cost and value. The 4th card looks at each of the link set. We can open any of these to understand how many individual elements are captured in each part of the sketch. And the final card is a selection summary, where we're able to select part of the sketch and we just get the data about the contents of link sets, for example. The next insight is through the Balance Scorecard dashboard. This is really a table of contents. It helps you understand the value and the cost of each area of the business, and we can expand these to see the information, actions, systems and people that are being captured in each area. This really helps us look at data in a different way. We're able to export the table to Excel and make use of that in other applications such as Power BI. Let's take a look. So here you can see the Balance Scorecard dashboard. We're able to sort by cost or value. The colours of the boxes help us understand high to low. We can expand any of these areas. We're able to see the outcomes that are supported by work in this part of the business, the information outputs that are created, and then within each column we can see the information, action, system and people nodes that make up the model in this part of the organisation. The 3rd insight is the people dashboard. This pivots around the people nodes that we've captured inside our sketch. Here we can understand what's the work they do, which outcomes do they enable, what's the cost versus the value of the work that they're doing, are they doing the right work, which systems do they need to use to be able to do their work, and much more. So let's take a look. So here we are in the people dashboard. The first thing we can see is a complete list of all of the people that we've captured in our sketch, the number of times they appear in the sketch and their hourly rate. We can pick any of these and we get to see the organisation from their perspective. So this is the designer role. We can see the hourly rate, the total cost of all of the actions we've captured that they perform in the business. Here we have cost versus value of their actions. We're able to find things like low value, high cost actions that we might want to take more interest in. We can see a sketch that's been built that pivots around their role. So now we can see the systems that they use and how they enable business outcomes. And then we get tables of all of the actions that they perform. So here we can see the total number of hours that we've captured against the designer role. This might help us answer questions such as, are they under or over allocated? Then this insight just digs into more and more detail about the outcomes that they support, the information assets that they produce through their work, the actions that they perform, including the cost and the time of those actions and which information is required and produced as a result of that work, and which systems they use. So highly detailed view of the business from the perspective of the chosen person. The next insight is the system summary. So here we're pivoting around the systems that we've captured in the sketch. These are systems that are used by people to do work, systems that automate work, or systems that provide information. So this summary allows us to really understand the technical DNA of the organisation. So the system summary starts off with an overview of our systems captured, including the number of outcomes they support against the value that's been allocated to them. We can use this bubble chart to really understand which systems are the most important to the organisation. There are 4 cards in this insight. The second helps us understand automated actions versus manual actions, or which systems are used to perform those, and we can click any of these items in order to get to the tables of data behind the sketch. The third card shows us which systems provide which information assets, and the fourth card is the individual system summary. This helps us look at the impact the system has, how it's used, and how the business creates outcomes. So if we pick a system such as inter-office delivery, we can see the people who are using that system, the impact this system has on the information required to deliver our business outcomes, and of course, cost and time. The impact assessment insight is possibly one of the most complex that we currently have in the platform. This helps us answer what-if questions. What if something changes? What if I replace this system? What if this person is no longer available to do the work? What if I stop producing this outcome? So it's a dashboard that requires some understanding and some inputs, so we'll take a quick look. We have to configure the impact assessment insight with data. It accepts 3 different types of inputs: a selection from the canvas, an output value of an information output, or a tag that we may have used inside the application as we've recorded our current or future state. If we take a look at the canvas selection, I've selected all of the asset management systems inside my sketch. I can use this selection to drive the insight. So now we are looking at how this system impacts the entire flow of content through the business. We can see the information assets that are impacted, the number of actions impacted, people, systems, cost and time. If I take a tag, for example, this automate tag, these are actions I might be able to automate as I move to my future state. We can immediately see the impact of changing manual tasks to automatic tasks. The cost allocation insight helps us understand the cost of producing the information assets that we rely on in order to deliver our business outcomes. The cost allocation insight helps us understand the cost of creating our information assets. So here we can see the 42 actions involved. The total cost is $6.89 million. And this is how the action cost has been allocated to the creation of each information asset. $1.98 million for producing multiple copies of printed maps. The QA design, $1.1 million. The asset management update, $1.26 million. There are 3 cards in this insight. The second card allows us to pick an information output and see which actions contribute to its cost. And the third card lets us take an action and see which information outputs it contributes to. The final insight is the compare dashboard. This is where we're able to look at a current state and a future state, for example, and understand the change between those 2 states. We can see the cost and the time savings associated with a change. We can understand which people are impacted, which systems, which actions, which information assets. So here we are comparing 2 sketches, a current state and a future state, for the same work outputs in part of an organisation. We can see that if we implement a change, we could save $5.24 million of operating cost a year, and we could save nearly 60,000 hours of time. Then this insight allows us to expand each element of the sketch. Here are the systems which are impacted because they only exist in our current state. Here are the systems that we need to introduce into the organisation to work in our future state. This is the same for people. Here are 4 roles that are impacted by the change, and we don't need to hire anyone to achieve our future state. Here are 9 actions that we're removing from the organisation, but 4 that we have to introduce into the business for our new way of working. Here are the information assets that we're removing from the business. You can see here we're removing a lot of paper, and here are 10 new information assets that we're creating. Now we can understand how we may use these through the rest of the business to increase overall efficiency and effectiveness. So those are the 6 link insights. We do have more detailed videos on each of those. Please head to our YouTube channel to look at those. And if you'd like to get in touch and understand any more, here are the contact details. Thanks very much indeed for your time. We look forward to seeing you again soon.